Good afternoon, happy Monday, and we're here to talk about putting your well-being first to heal the mind and to heal the body. So, of course, we're talking specifically post-surgery. So, if you are tuning in, and I've got pop-ups on my phone to make sure I'm coming up. Yes, we're all there. Oh, fabulous. So, if you are tuning in, listening, and here on this happy and fabulous Monday, then of course do drop in your thoughts, comments, and questions. I would love to hear from you as always. But today is a bit of a story share to give you the sort of the point. In fact, I'm gonna have to do a shift. My microphone's all the way over here. Okay, sorry guys, I've been having technical issues today. I'm kind of, there we go. You probably hear me better now. Okay, so we are here to obviously talk about surgery, post-surgery, and healing your mind and your body, because obviously our mind and our bodies are amazing things, but they work in unison. So if you're on my LinkedIn, let me check it's all coming through, then you will have seen my post this morning about how I hired my surgeon. Okay, so guys, the reason I shared this story is because in the last couple of years, I've actually had 2 surgeries. I've only really talked about one of them. Okay, and there's good reason for that. Okay, so everything's going a bit wonky today. Everything's going a bit wonky. We're all here. So the reason is obviously with surgery it is a big thing. Now, the first surgery I had was because I broke my nose skiing. So I had septum rhinoplasty, I broke my nose, I couldn't breathe fully through the one side. So the surgeon, instead of just fixing my septum, he did both. Okay. Which again is the physical healing, looking all bruised or battered, and of course the physical side. But what no one talks about is the mental healing. And that really came into play during my second operation. Now, my second operation, I'm just going to put it straight out there, is I had breast reduction surgery. So when I first came up, I'm going to take you through the journey I went through, simply because whether this is a medical condition that you have and you're having surgery for, someone you know, someone you love, some other reason, okay? Because breast reductions, breast changes, like even nose surgery, it can be cosmetic. It's classed as cosmetic surgery. Now, both the reasons I have were due to medical reasons, okay? So like I said, with my nose, I couldn't breathe fully. I also had calcification. It was pushing against the skin and it was pulling, okay? So I had a medical reason for having that surgery. The other factor that I considered was my age, because being younger, I was like, my body can heal quicker. But what's going to happen when I'm older? I was like, okay, I'm looking at risk factors and what's the risk and what's the worst case and what's the best case. But I made those choices. Okay, so this is why we're talking about the journey and the choices, and that's why specifically now I am raising about the second surgery. Because when I first decided to have my nose done, okay, that was a big thing. But then I decided to obviously have, like I said, the breast reduction. Okay, that was a big thing. Now, when I decided to go and speak to a friend of mine. Okay, so this is the first part, the stages. So I talk about obviously each part and how we go through, and also not just the surgery, how to decide on surgery, but how to transfer this into other elements of your life, because it's the same sort of process. So whether you're looking for a trainer, you're looking for a coach, you're looking to hire a VA, you're looking for a contractor, a freelancer, it's the same thought process. The difference is when you have surgery, it really impacts you, because my recovery, I couldn't physically do anything, but I'll get onto that. Okay, so if you are joining, Mario, good morning. So obviously, as we're doing here, obviously join in, jump in, connect with each other. That's what we're here for, obviously, to make each other stronger and healthier. So feeling your love, and I'm appreciating that, because this is the first time I'm officially sharing this story. So it was a big impact on my life. So with surgery, you'll probably hear people say it takes up to 12 months to recover, and that is no lie. Okay, it can take up to 12 months. So I had to literally 12 months apart, 12 months after the other. And I did deliberately, because I knew after 6 months I was okay, because they say 3 months, you're okay, you're doing something else. But I wanted to wait a longer period of time. Now, when I decided to have, like I said, breast surgery, I spoke to a friend of mine. Now, this friend of mine was someone I selected for a reason. One, she's close to me, knows me very well, but she's also that person to sit there and question me. So to go, are you sure you're doing this for the right reasons? Have you thought it through? What about this thing? What about this? The person who will make me look at everything and also allow the emotion. So I'm sort of welling up here, so if anyone can see, I am going to be emotional because that was the key conversation in this whole journey. Because the minute I walked in there, I was like, okay, I'm going to tell her, I'm going to talk to her about this, and it's going to be, really, really good. And I opened up this conversation. I just went, I've decided to have breast reduction surgery. And I sort of waited because I was waiting for the, have you thought about this? Have you done this or something else? The first thing she said to me was, it's time. I burst into tears. I'm welling up now thinking about it because it was that relief. This is someone who's known me 5, 6, 7 years, probably about 7 years, 7 years at the time. So she's known me a long time. I started out as a trainer, as a coach. We've become friends. I've been around their house, all these sorts of things. We're good friends. She was someone who I knew I could trust and I could speak openly about it. So whether you're having a surgery for medical reasons or you've got a life-changing situation, find someone, first of all, pinnacle moment you can trust. Okay, I can't stipulate that enough. Someone who isn't just going to side with you and say, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Someone who will make you ask the questions so you can check that you are doing the things that maybe you haven't thought about, maybe looking at a different angle, but also for you, it's going to be emotional. So somebody who can take that emotion out slightly. Okay. So, like I said, after this, because it's a medical thing, the first port of call after that was my GP. Okay. So none of my process, I didn't seek medical advice. So even if you're in the same situation, if you're thinking about changing your body in any way, my also recommendation, which I'm going to stress here, bigger than anything else, is do the work on you first. Because there's been times I've gone, I don't like this or I don't like this, but I did the work on me. I fell in love with my body. I got healthier, happier, confident with myself. When it came down to it, even the first quarter of last year, so the first 3 months before I had that surgery, I actually strained my rhomboids again. Okay, so I pulled my back muscles a couple of times over the last few years. So like I said, there was this medical situation sort of going on, and I haven't talked about it that much because it is very personal. Okay, you probably hear the tones in my voice sort of fluctuating because I went through this huge journey. Okay, now the reason I'm chosen to share it now is because one, I see so many people saying one thing or the other, jumping it at different things. I'm also having conversations with people about you can get qualified so quickly, you make these quick choices. And also I know people have gone, say, to Turkey and stuff and not had the great experience. Okay, so I'm going to tell you I had a really good experience, but I also planned the whole process. Okay, so first port of call, we're going to talk to someone. Okay, so whatever decision you're going to do, if it's a big life-changing decision, speak to someone, get advice, decide, look at the options, weigh different things up. So it might be you're going to invest 5 grand into a new car or 15 grand into a new car. You're going to buy a new house, you're buying a property, whatever it is. When it becomes to be big and life-changing, it's going to alter your life in some way. Take the time to speak to someone who will support you, but will also ask those questions. Okay. The second port of call is if it's going to be a medical thing, seek medical advice. Okay. It doesn't mean to say they have to be the person you follow up with. It means to say that you're basically covering your bases. You're looking at again from another angle. All right. So this is we're going to fast forward. Obviously, I then did my due diligence, which is what I put in my post this morning, was how I emailed around places, find the places, all this, watch them, pay the deposit, and went for my surgery. The big thing I want to talk about is the recovery, because the recovery, whereas after my nose, I kept getting a muzzy head. I felt dizzy because they took a hammer to my nose. I'm going to be really honest. They took a hammer to my nose and broke my nose. So I had it broken twice, technically. But after I had the second surgery, physically, I felt good. The things I thought I couldn't do was like wash my hair. Okay, so I thought, I'm not going to be able to put my arms up for a few days. I'm going to need help washing my hair. But those were the things I could do. Yeah. So strangely, I got to the point where I had planned all these things that I thought I couldn't do, and actually was like, oh, I can do all that. And even literally 2 days after surgery, I'm on a video call and I'm chatting away and they're like, you look absolutely fine. I felt fantastic. Okay. Because I had a great surgeon. I'd done all the sort of work. I prepped it beforehand, so I had enough food and all this sort of thing. Everything was taken care of, right? But what didn't prepare me was the mental side. Okay, my body, I just had to give it time to heal. So I had to walk to obviously ease off water retention. Again, I had to just, after a while, do some movements to obviously get my muscles and my shoulders moving again. So that again was another element. But was the mental side, okay? Because this was something I've come across with people that I've spoken to about this, who've had surgeries and have struggled mentally following surgery. Because sometimes you can have, say, a tummy tuck, liposuction, and you've had it because you're unhappy with your weight and your body, okay? Now, I'm not saying that shouldn't be your choice, but what I'm saying is do the work first. Okay, so take the time to get your head in the right space before you have that extreme measure, because your body is never the same again. Okay, imagine when you have a cut, you have a scar, your body is different tissue. It is never the same again. Okay, so if you are staying with me, great guys, I hope you found some value in this, because we're going to talk about that mental healing, because that mental healing is much deeper. Okay, it's going to take a lot more. So post this surgery, post this obviously experience and all this sorts of stuff, obviously I found myself in a position where I could walk absolutely fine, but the minute I put a bag in my hand, I couldn't move. It was like I couldn't move. It was hilarious. Okay, and I actually found, being someone who has played sports since a child, so remember, this is my life, guys. I've played sports since a child. I've walked, I've always done something. And to be at the point where I couldn't even turn on a tap or be past a plate was actually huge. Okay, so if you are someone, again, like I said, I'm going to stress this now, you could have, like I've done, for medical reasons, you could have for other reasons. It could be a medical thing. It could be you've injured yourself and it's recovering. Okay, these are a wide range of situations, but you find yourself in that position where you're not able to do what you can do normally. Okay, now you fight it. You go, I can just do this, or I just do this. You try and fight it, but you just can't. So it's that acceptance. Imagine being like that for weeks. And in your head, you're going, it's only weeks. I can do this. I can do this. It's only a couple of weeks. I know, I take it easy now. This is my favorite line. Take it easy now. I recover quicker. I can do this. Right? That's great. But it doesn't stop the little things day in, day out. You know, there were little things like, at one point, certain clothes I went through last summer going, what can I actually wear? I know that sounds like a little thing, but obviously I couldn't pull on tight vests or anything. I was like, what can I wear? And then, of course, the underwear shop, don't get me started on that one. That was a fun experience. But there were all these little things that went on, and it wasn't my body that needed the help recovery. It was my mind. Okay. And that's why I say, when we go through these journeys, it's, if you do anything that's life-changing, say, for example, you invested 50 grand into a brand new vehicle, someone crashed into it a week later, okay? Your mind, it's, you know, physically, you can't do anything about it. You can't change it. The car's damaged. You fix it or you leave it, right? You haven't got a choice. But it's where your mind goes. You start blaming yourself. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. Maybe it should be like this. And you start questioning. Okay, so it could be something more physical. It could be that investment into your business. And of course, it could be physical, like I'm sharing. And actually, the lovely thing is, Lewis, I'm going to say thank you for jumping in, obviously sharing, getting eye surgery tomorrow. So thank you for sharing, because these personal things, so many people we know will have surgery, will have an operation. I mean, Russ, if you're on LinkedIn, you follow Russ Hedge, amazing gent. he's got cancer and he's had obviously been in hospital. So again, there's example of that. Then of course, obviously there's other people that pop up, and then suddenly, I know a friend of mine on Instagram, if I can think about the platform, suddenly he's got a neck brace on because he's had an accident. These things happen, okay? And we try to accept ourselves only at our best. So even if you're tired, when it comes to being physically having to take something out, I mean, you may have had a child, cesarean, and of course you kind of want to get up and go, and you can't, okay? These things are going to happen. It's what you do with your mind to heal your mind, to allow your body to heal. I'm going to give you a few points here. So if you are having surgery, Lewis, or you know someone that is, then these are the things, okay? Because we want to go through the process of getting the support initially, asking the right questions, doing the research, getting to the point where we're recovering. Even like I did, I planned ahead. I had people, like I was staying at a friend's house, all this. I moved all my kitchen cupboard around. That was the other thing I did. I actually moved my kitchen cupboard around because I went, I can't do this. So obviously, there's eye surgery. If you're not going to be able to see, is someone there to support you? Have you moved certain things? You know, these considerations you don't always make are worth making in advance when you've got the chance. Think about it. When you're recovering, think about how easy you can make your life for you. Yeah? Make your life easier. Okay? So the recovery and the mental side. So I had loads of different things. I had my coloring books, my jigsaws, all these things I could do. The other thing I found as well, this is how you can prepare yourself all in the world and it doesn't come out right. Because after I had nose surgery, the one thing I loved to do was watch cartoons. I'm a Disney fan, guilty as charged. Or I got my jigsaw. So I sat at my table and I did my jigsaw, okay? The thing with the jigsaw, after a while, I could feel the pressure in my face. So I would go and lie on the sofa, and I actually slept quite a lot after having nose surgery. Now, after having the girls done, so I'm going to call it the girls so no one feels uncomfortable. But after having the girls done, I was sleeping as normal. I actually had more energy. I was walking around. There was one day I didn't feel so good, about 3 days after, but then again, I'm on medication. What do you expect? You know, I'd had invasive surgery. I was absolutely fine with that. So it was giving myself the patience. Because the other thing is, like I said, about the loving your body afterwards. Like when I had nose surgery, I had a small incision here. I've got 0 scars. Okay? There is 0. There's nothing. Okay? So there's no marks other than the evidence of old pictures to new ones. Whereas obviously one of the things, like the doctors tell you the risks, okay? They will always give you risks, which is good, okay? They tell you your nose may end up a different shape. You may still not be able to breathe fully. You may lose feeling and sensations may be different. These sorts of things. Same, obviously, with the girls. You get through the risk factors. And even one of the questions was, how are you going to feel about the scars? Because I did all the work, like I said, on falling in love with myself first before deciding, actually, this is medical. This is not, I'm now starting to cover it and excuse it. And it's actually, there is that medical side. Then I realized it was okay to let these emotions out that I'd been holding. And then when I came to recovery, that wasn't an issue because I was like, I already loved that part of my body. I was like, you know what? I've fallen in love with my TB scar. I've fallen in love with my scar on my forehead. I've fallen in love with all the scars on my body because they make me who I am. I'd already fallen in love with my body. So when it came down to that recovery, that was one element I didn't have to worry about. Okay. The other elements, there's things like my clothes fitting and certain things and all that rigmarole was, like I said, another element of the mental side. But you will sit there. I mean, when I broke down in the kitchen because I couldn't turn the tap on, it was like, I can always physically do something. And I feel physically I can't do anything. And, you know, my friend took my washing upstairs and they folded my washing. And I was like, at least let me do my washing. I actually couldn't do my washing. Okay. And to actually be able to get up and walk and get myself dressed, to shower, you know, do my hair, to straighten my hair. But I couldn't even do my own washing. you know. But my friends were amazing. They were there to have my back, to give me the support, and I let them. Okay, so I had the cry moment, I'm not gonna lie. I had the puppy cuddles, because you gotta have puppy cuddles. But whatever elements of your life this is going for, when you get to that point where something, the shit's the fan and it's maybe not going so right, you have to let people in. Okay, so this is anything. This is one of the biggest things that I sort of learned, was how to be really vulnerable with being physically in need of help. Okay, in fact, it's making me well up, so you can see now that's how personal this was, guys. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to be fine. But I mean, Lewis, you got your mum coming to care for you. That's absolutely beautiful, because that's what you're going to need. And then I found I needed other things. So even when the delivery guy brought my food shopping, I had to say, can you come and just put it on the floor in my hallway? So it wasn't a case thing. I said, I can't lift it. So I could carry like 2 tins. That was it. But then, of course, my recovery was slower. So after 3 months, I was told, okay, you'll be okay. After 3 months, I really wasn't 100%. I wasn't. I'm not going to lie. They said, after 6 weeks, you probably do some yoga. I tell you what, I started doing some bits of yoga. And anything, as long as it didn't put any pressure on my body, was okay. But I couldn't do yoga. So I was just like, I was like, okay, I can walk. I was looking forward to something other than walk. And I tell you what, I couldn't do much else other than walk. It was like, this is so frustrating. But then I gave myself the patience, and it was like nearly sort of pushing this sort of 8 to 12 weeks when I really started going to the gym again, but taking it, say, lower body weights, doing a few, machines. When I was doing upper body, more mobility and movement. So again, it was a good 3 months. I had to be patient with myself, because I also knew that actually, if I injured myself during that time, I could make the recovery longer. Okay. So it's the research, asking the right questions to begin with, getting support. But when you hit that crucial point, getting the support and then being patient with yourself, because we expect, in a world of digital times, we expect results. Okay. We expect, I'm on a weight loss diet, I'm going to lose weight like that. It doesn't happen that way. We need to be patient with ourselves and set realistic goals. We need to know that actually, if I do this a little bit, I do this consistently, then of course I can do more. Okay. And that's exactly what I did from healing from my surgery. The second one was because I was up on my feet. I didn't have the muzzy heads. I was up on my feet. I just physically couldn't do the running around and stuff. Like, I couldn't drive, guys. Okay. Now, that may not seem like a big thing to you, but I drive to work. So actually, I was off work for longer because I couldn't drive for longer. Right. So after I had no surgery, after two weeks, I was driving, because I was actually okay after a week. Okay. So after you come off the medication, and so I gave it 48 hours after took the last medication, and I was driving. Whereas when I had the girls done, it was several weeks I couldn't drive. So I had people, again, it was being in the car afterwards. I kind of had to move the seatbelt. Right. Sometimes we think that something that's going to be much easier. So in some ways, it was much easier to recover from. It affected my life in a much bigger way. And my mind had to play the bigger part. I had to know in my mind, I was like, this is a short-term thing. I said, give yourself 12 months. You know what you've just been through. You know you went through with your nose. And although you were on your feet very quickly, you took time. So I'm going to, Lewis, you've obviously popped in. So I'm going to obviously use your example, obviously having the eye surgery. So again, he said about having an audiobook. So I'm using this as another example, because although at some point, Lewis, after your eyes will feel good, there will still be time where your body is still getting 100%. Okay. It's always, there's that sort of window where you go, actually, I'm good. And then there's that bigger window where everything is going on inside. Maybe like if it is a cut, okay, imagine you cut your hand, okay? There's the surface, you get that scab and it sort of heals, but it's still tender for quite a while longer because it's still healing inside. That's exactly what's happening. Okay, your mindset. So what did I do? I think is probably the best way to finish this. How did I get my mind straight to give myself the patience and not feel shit? Basically, I'm going to tell you, there were times I could feel myself with the negative thoughts going, where's my thing gone? Okay, the one thing and I even said this to my friend, I said, the one thing I thought I always had was I was the one who could physically help. So if you ask me to move house, yes, I can. And I can go and pick up the heavy box. If you ask me to do this, yes, I physically can. If you ask me for a lift, yes, I physically can. To go, I can't even, I can walk to the store, but I can't bring anything back other than a pint of milk and a loaf of bread. What am I doing? That's kind of what it felt like. Okay. So the mind is a bigger tool. And like I said, my mindfulness habits that I had from my first surgery didn't cut it. Yeah, this is why we have toolboxes, guys. So I'm going to stress this. This is another point that I'm going to reinforce. I share a lot about different things. Okay. And the reason for that is because you'll come to a point where something doesn't hit the nail on the head. Okay. It helps maybe a little time or a little less than it did before, but sometimes you need that bit more, right? I can tell you now, meditating became a big thing, a real big thing. I also would walk. And generally speaking, even if I was walking around my apartment, I would walk. I would just walk and walk and walk. I actually did bake again at one point. So because I could, when I was sort of moving, I was like, okay, I can get into the kitchen, I can bake. So that's cool. I also now, what I tend to do now is I block things together. So I'll go to the post office, I'll go for a little walk around, I'll pop off here. So I'll do things together. What I was tending to do was breaking things up, so it kind of wasn't, nothing was too strenuous. So I was doing a little maybe teach my class online so I could sit there and tell them what to do. Then I'd sort of sit and chill for a bit, then I would get up and do something else. So I found my time was much more broken, whereas when I had no surgery, I kind of was like, okay, I'm off for a bit and then I'm back. Okay, so this is why as well, if anyone followed me on LinkedIn last year, you'll notice that I went off for a good few weeks. And that's because I found I needed more time to heal. Now, the key thing that I want to make sure I actually say the things that help me. I want to close with, in fact, I will finish off the things that helped me before I move on to that. Then we'll close with that and then we'll be done. So hopefully there's a lot of value coming here for you. So when I was recovering, like I said, my jigsaw's usually my thing because I can sit and quietly do it. Okay, I do enjoy watching Disney and sort of catching up on some movies, and I do enjoy my old classic movies, the old Disney films. Yeah. But obviously I found that wasn't cutting it, so I was taking the time to, like I said, meditate, walking, baking. I actually got my colouring in books out again. So again, it was trying to find different things, but because I was mentally more active, and I was sort of okay, sort of physically, as long as I wasn't lifting or waving my arms up high, then I was actually found myself sat at my computer playing around with a few different things. So I was able to keep myself sort of busy and doing things in the background. Even if I hadn't got the same focus and drive, I was still sort of able to keep moving. Whereas I said the first surgery, mental concentration, I had this bone broken and thinned. So of course I had to use things which allowed me much more of a mental relaxation as well, because mentally I kept getting the muzzy head and the dizziness, particularly for the first week or two. Okay. So I was going to say one more thing and sort of to close on, because obviously going through that surgery, going through this, the why I didn't say this earlier. Okay. So this is the last thing. Okay. Prior to having surgery, so I shared this also on LinkedIn last week. So if you are following me on LinkedIn and you have seen this post, I recommend something about judgment. Okay, and I did share this about my nose surgery and how I walked into stores and people made judgments of me. So Lewis, you may find this, because the minute I had a broken nose, literally, I've got a picture of me in the surgery bed, recovery bed, and I had black eyes straight off. Okay, so some people don't. But he said, even the surgeon came in, I can remember him going, and whoa, he goes, yeah, you have black eyes. He goes, but we hit your nose with a hammer, blah, all this sorts of stuff. Okay. So I kind of found that entertaining. But the minute I said to people I was having breast surgery because it is very much classed as cosmetic. I told some people, and the first thing they said is, don't do it, you look lovely. Don't alter your body, don't do all this, okay? And then I would have huge conversations with people, going through the entire process that I went through, from speaking to my friend, speaking to my GP, doing the research into different ones, gaining that, taking the break, looking into different things. So I didn't actually sort of tell, say, publicly in my classes and that until I was about to go off, because I was like, there's no point, having conversations for 12 months when I didn't even book it until 6 months before. Yeah. So then I was having all the people going, do this, do this, whichever. And it's because they cared. Okay. I knew none of it was a negative, but unfortunately I was getting everybody going, here's my judgment. Here's how I feel. And I'm there going, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm excited. I'm this whole range of emotions. I'm really looking forward to not paying £300 in like 2 months to just get my back taken care of. Because like I said, I pulled my rhomboids again in February last year. And I was like, I'm really looking forward to not having this repeated discomfort and things that are going on, okay? And all I had when I started telling people was, that sounds really good, but have you thought this? And people just saying their fears. I don't think you should do it. Have you really thought about it? And of course, what's amazing is I've obviously caught up with these people afterwards and they've gone, wow, you look amazing. And I'm like, I know. They're like, have you lost weight too? And I'm like, no, I just lost the girls. We're good. And of course, the surgeon I had, this is one thing, he's done a really good job. And like I say, highly recommend them. But the people that I found were literally offsetting it. So when I'm sort of in this state beforehand, and this is, Lucia may feel this way, or anyone else who is undergoing any level of surgery, whether it's a medical reason, whether it's injury recovery, any reason, or any big change, in fact, any life-changing. When you're going through that, you are a range of emotions inside. So there is the excitement because, hey, something's changing, what's going to happen. There is the nervousness, okay? I was put out for 2.5 hours. In fact, I was probably unconscious about 4 all in, okay? The other thing I haven't said is I went to a different country. I went to Lithuania to do it. So it's an amazing clinic there. Fully recommend them, okay? But I went abroad to do this, okay? Which again was upsetting everything else. And of course, the war in Ukraine kicked off in February last year. So I'm going in April and this is all, so everybody was just giving me all this. I couldn't, my mind, like this is why I say, I knew I was doing the right thing because I spoke to the right people. I continued to speak to them. I continued to express my fears to other people, but also all that. So I had the support group and it was amazing. But having all this and then realizing I was like, I've got to go quiet because I can't deal with this. And I realized for my own mental well-being, I was like, for me to be the best I can be for this, to recover quickly, I can't keep talking about it to everybody. And there was a short while afterwards, so although I spoke to people, I was like, I'm only speaking certain amounts and certain people. And it's this level of like unveiling an onion, peeling back the layers of an onion, because I knew it had been such a big experience in my life. Okay. Like I say, it's been life-changing. I've not regretted it in the slightest. Okay. And I also know that I did the work beforehand. I did it for the right reasons. And of course, obviously, I did my due diligence. But anyone who is undertaking anything, there are things going on inside that you do not aware of. Taking the time to reflect and ask yourself the question, what do I need? Right? What do I need right now? Do I need, a friend to talk to? Do I just need to hang out with someone and have company? Or do I need to actually talk? Do I need to have support? Do I need to keep myself busier? Do I need to plan it? Right? These are questions before, during, afterwards that will come up. So, look, again, I'm picking on you because you've obviously popped in. But the audio, but this is great. You're planning ahead. You've got your mum coming to help. This is great. But my encouragement now is when you start that recovery, your body will start healing. But then ask yourself, what do you need? Be willing to slow down and take the time to reflect on that, because otherwise you will find that your body heals, but you'll be harboring all sorts of thoughts, fears, and stuff going on in your head. Okay, they're unhealthy. And just think of it this way. Okay, glass of water, half full. If you hold that glass of water there, if I hold it there, it's not very heavy. If I keep holding that glass of water for an extended period of time, it gets really heavy. If I'm here for 24 hours, that's going to weigh really heavy, okay? Imagine your thoughts and feelings and things like that exactly the same way, okay? So if you have these fears and worries and something, and you don't find that safe space to express it, whether it is in an activity, it is by giving yourself affirmations. I had to use affirmations as well. That's the other thing I use. Affirmations, positive self-talk, reflections. The other thing I had to do as well, because mine was obviously hugely changing. So if you know somebody who's had a weight change, dramatic sort of size difference, I had to get rid of anything that was fitted on my bras, bikinis, everything just had to go. It wasn't a case of does it fit, does it not? It just went, because my mind was playing tricks on me. It was confusing what the changes were, what I'd really done. It was questioning things. And of course, I've been told this was happening, and I was finding this, and then I'm like, that re-love of your body. Yeah. So doing the work to go, okay, this is my body. This is special. I'm an amazing place to live. Scars, imperfections, whatever, everything. It is an amazing place to be. So I did promise I would close there. So if you're going through a life-changing moment, okay, surgery, job change, anything, buying a new car, buying a house, investing, big life-altering experiences, do your due diligence first. Ask the questions, do your research, and have somebody who's going to support you and bounce those ideas off with you so you can speak to them, okay? Then follow, monitor. If you're going to work with someone, invest in a certain thing, then obviously follow them on socials. Have a look, find out who you're going to be working with, because I can share this video and go, this is me, but you will find more out about me, for example, from everything else. So that's why we look at the big picture, okay? So then do the big picture. But then if there's any element for you, or even like I said, that big financial, there's still the mind. Ask yourself, what do you need to sort of either detach from it, either emotionally or to get the support you need, okay? So if you have been through surgery, your injury, you're recovering, taking that time to heal your mind will allow your body to heal quicker. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's been absolutely awesome. Thanks, Luz, for sharing. And I do hope anybody who finds that they need support, they reach out for it, and of course, get the support on their journey. Otherwise, guys, I will see you back here next Monday. But otherwise, I will catch up with you in between. Have a great rest of your day.